From a very young age, most people are taught a specific sequence of behavior: listen, obey, and comply. You stand in line, you accept what politicians, bureaucrats, and agency officials tell you, and you fear the punishment if you step out of bounds. This passive compliance becomes a lifelong habit. This diagram maps out the intended structure of the American federal government. Looking at the center block reveals a glaring gap. A full third of this structure, the American Confederation and Federal Republic, has been inoperable since the Civil War in 1860. Moving below, Item 3 details what filled that vacuum. Foreign-operated federal subcontractors usurped the powers of the missing American government. They claimed non-existent emergency powers and simply continued to operate, building the administrative state most people comply with today. Correcting this historical error requires ordinary people to stop waiting for someone else to fix it. The lawful solution is to take on the responsibility of self-governance, meaning we actively breathe life back into civil government to ensure people and property are protected. That rebuilding effort relies on a precise 12-step blueprint known as the assembly process, giving local communities the legal framework to construct a working civil government from the ground up. Throwing off a lifetime of conditioned obedience takes work. True freedom requires actively executing a structured, lawful plan rather than waiting passively in line. This flowchart breaks down the assembly process. The sequence officially begins when a summoning authority calls the states into session. Dropping to the second step, volunteers must correct their legal paperwork, returning to the land as American state nationals and citizens. That corrected paperwork means nothing if it isn't documented. Establishing lawful public records, whether through state recording secretaries, the Assembly Land Recording Office, or publishing notices in local newspapers, is essential to securely archive a person's actual political identity. To protect against private registrations overriding these claims, duplicate copies of these records must be meticulously maintained at both the local county level and the broader state level. With identities secured, the free people living permanently within a state's borders, anyone over 21, come together to form the General Assembly. This body functions as the actual lawful state government. A community cannot legally act without these initial steps. Individual acts of status correction and completely transparent record-keeping create the foundation to govern. Once established, General Assembly meetings operate out in the open. With agendas published in advance, they function less like a bureaucracy and more like an extended family of neighbors working together to solve local issues. Looking back at the assembly process chart, steps 3 and 9 detail how leadership evolves. Initially, vetted volunteers act as coordinators to organize the immediate work. Eventually, the assembly holds proper elections to vote in official session officers and officials. The people elected to these roles are not rulers. They serve strictly as executive administrators tasked with getting a job done and protecting the rights of the group. They hold no special authority to lord over anyone else. When the assembly needs to handle sensitive intrastate business, a strict protocol is followed. The agenda is divided, the public meeting is temporarily closed, and only individuals with fully documented status as state nationals and citizens are permitted to participate in the final decisions. As the assembly grows, the workload is distributed into specialized committees. An oversight committee handles complaints, an ombudsman team manages arbitration to keep issues out of court, a vetting committee screens incoming members, and a general elections committee secures the ballots. By relying on decentralized committees and absolute operational transparency, the community maintains its structural integrity without ever defaulting back to authoritarian leadership. Moving to the top right, Step 7 addresses long-term justice. The community establishes a jural assembly to staff courts and practice common law. Directly below, in Step 8, the assembly organizes its own militia, ensuring manpower for state-level deployments and emergencies. The final logistical mechanics involve training these newly appointed officers and executing transition plans so that the government can continue operating smoothly year after year. Beyond the paperwork, self-governance relies on a simple philosophy: we become by doing. Taking cooperative action on a local project dispels the fear of the unknown and teaches neighbors how to actively protect each other. This extends to commerce as well. Achieving social peace allows the community to engage in lawful, international trade, operating safely under the financial protection of entities like the Federation of States Private Registered Indemnity Bond. Leaving behind a system where you are legally lost at sea requires effort. You have to reclaim your political status, meticulously secure your public records, complete the assembly process, and accept the daily responsibility of upholding the public law in your own state.